Welcome to RuralStrong, where we talk real challenges and bold solutions in rural economic development. I'm your host, Joe Barker. Let's get into it. Welcome to RuralStrong. This is your podcast host, Joe Barker, and we're broadcasting today from the Southwest Tennessee Development District podcast studio in beautiful downtown Jackson, Tennessee. And we've got a very special guest today. We've got Marci Goodwin, who is co-founder of SmartStart Business Development, an organization she describes as a startup for startups based in Central Illinois. Marci, welcome to RuralStrong.
Oh, thank you very much, Joe, for having me. I look forward to sharing our, as we say, preach the gospel of microbusinesses.
That's right. Well, tell our listeners a little bit about your background and what has brought you to your point today where you're working with microbusinesses.
Oh, goodness. So I've been an entrepreneur, steady here for over 25 years. And I took a few years off of entrepreneurship to go to college and get a real job, as they say, and that just wasn't for me. So have become an entrepreneur, and actually spent the last 15 years helping other entrepreneurs kind of do the same thing. I have a passion for entrepreneurship, and so was always helping people start businesses here locally and across the country. I was part of a group of women who we founded the 2-to-1 conference. And it was a conference where women could come from all over the country and learn to have a business in their own space and in their own home so they could stay home with their kids. And we taught basically e-commerce and blogging and podcasting. So that was a lot of fun. And then I met Katie Kelly, my business partner, and she was doing the same thing, helping people start businesses, but she was doing it from her, what we call the high tech part of her business. I'm the high tech, she was the high tech, and she was building a SaaS program, an online platform for people to walk through the process of starting a business. As we know, that is difficult. There's lots of things to do, lots of dots to connect. So her passion was to make business ownership easier through her SaaS platform, while I was making it easier through online and through personal connections and workshops. And then we joined forces to create SmartStart.
So let's talk about SmartStart. What is SmartStart? And also, what is a micro business? I don't think that's just a small business, but it's unique in its own space.
Right. So when we started SmartStart, we thought it was for all businesses. So because whether you're starting a high-tech startup or you're starting a mom and pop business on Main Street, or you are a maker, you make jewelry and you're selling it at the local farmer's market, but you think, man, I could make this into a real business. How do I do that? You all start the same way. You have to have that customer development. You have to know, do I have a product that people will buy? And how do I find those customers? How do I get legal? How do I pay my taxes? Those things are all universal. So when we launched SmartStart, we were like, these are the kind of business we can serve everyone. But we were, as we tell everyone now, not all businesses are for everyone. And we realized that the people that were coming and to our programs, because they're mostly in rural communities, they weren't these startups like the communities like, oh, we're gonna help all these high-tech startups. Well, there were a couple that came through, but the majority were these little bitty businesses that are, as we found out, less than 10 employees. Actually, most of them one. And we were like, wow, the business model canvas that we're using, that's overkill for them. These people don't need a $50,000 SBA loan. These people just need some practical advice, and they can actually bootstrap their way to becoming a business. And they don't need any big loan, and they're not going to get a big loan. The banks aren't going to give them $2,000 or $3,000. They're going to bootstrap it. They're going to take out they're going to take it out of their savings, or they're going to use their credit cards. So we're realizing, we're like, what is this kind of business? This is the traditional models just aren't fitting these businesses. So we were kind of working around, and we called it like the SmartStart business model, the business model canvas. About that time, GoDaddy, the web company, created this GoDaddy Venture Forward Research Project, in which they realized that most of the people that were building businesses on their platform were micro businesses. Like I said, less than 10 employees. They were running them out of their home or very small business. And then they realized that 96% of all small businesses are actually micro businesses. And 80% of those have just one employee, the owner. But these are the businesses that these are the underserved businesses and so we realized that that's really our bread and butter. Those are the people that we're the most passionate about. So that's where SmartStart now has evolved, that's our bread and butter. That's who we love to serve.
Well, Marci, if Joe wanted to start a small business and go to SmartStart, how do I begin, and how do I really, determine if this is for me? You said a minute ago, it's not for everyone, and I talk to people. It seems like everybody that is not in business for themselves wants to be in business, and everybody that's in business wants to get out of business. So it's a real dilemma. And but
it's not for everyone.
That's right. So if Joe wanted to start a business, get me started.
So we have that in the communities. That's why they come to us. So a community would actually come to us to SmartStart, and they would say, we want to license your platform in our community, so that our people, that everyone who wants to start a business, they know where to go. Because we found the stat that 61% of Americans, like you said, a lot of people want to start businesses, but they don't know where to go. Especially in rural communities, the SBDC is not on the corner. They don't have, the chamber or different organizations aren't putting on how to start a business workshops. So we go into these communities, we let them license the platform, and then that community can offer it free to all the community, because that's another thing. People don't want to invest in a start a business workshop if they don't really know if they can start a business. And in our mind, even if someone is not starting a business, they can, or if they decide not to start a business, they decide it's not for them, that's a success, because those people have not wasted their money. They haven't, sometimes when you go and you see, oh, these businesses failed, then people think bad about their hometown.
Your platform, I know in communities, all communities are different, and sometimes to get the right license, the right paperwork to start a business. Is yours community friendly, or how does that happen?
Absolutely. So when a community licenses the dashboard, we go in and we actually ask them, who are your local assets? Who are your local people and resources you have in your community? And is there a special license they have to have in the community? What's the state guidelines? What is where's the link where they can go get an LLC? We become that, and we actually customize their dashboard according to the community, so that when a business owner goes onto the dashboard, it not only walks them through the steps of starting a business, all the way from customer development, customer discovery, all the way through marketing, and all those little nuts and bolts in between. So they don't have to Google, because Google can give them all the wrong answers. So they find out, they walk through the steps. Oh, now it's time to get my EIN number. Now it's time to get my LLC. Here's the buttons I click. I need to go talk to someone. Oh, I own a couple businesses. Maybe I need an S Corp. Here's a local attorney who works with small businesses that you can go to. I need business insurance. Well, not every insurance agent in town you call deals with small business insurance. So we help them figure out, here are the small businesses, or here's the insurance companies in town that help small businesses, so they don't waste time and they don't get discouraged. We're just all about lowering those barriers to entry. They can have, a lot of times in a community, or people will say, oh, I need a website. Well, they go to the marketing agency in town. That marketing agency is built for big businesses. And so to make their margins work, they have to charge $20,000 for a website. microbusiness can't handle that, small business. So we help them. Who are the microbusinesses in town? Who are those freelancers in town that are already building websites at a price point that these microbusinesses can afford? So you're building microbusinesses by helping microbusinesses. So it's very community friendly. And that's what we wanted to achieve. That's the high touch. We have that high tech platform, but that high touch part allows whoever that agency is in town, whether it's the chamber or the county or the EDC, or it's usually a partnership of more of those. They become that when they look on the dashboard and they see that somebody needs help, you can link directly to them, or you can see on the admin has access where they can say, hey, they needed help with website. They needed help with finding the right attorney. And then they can check back with them. Hey, Joe, did you find that attorney you were looking for? Just want to make sure if you need more help, you give me a call. Because these people, these microbusiness owners aren't going to the chamber if there is even one place in a rural area. And they're not going to the city because they think my business isn't big enough and I'm not important enough yet, or I don't have enough confidence. I don't want to tell people. So they're not going to go directly to them, but they'll go to this anonymous platform and they'll work it out until they are ready. And then that gives whoever the admin is, whoever's running the program in that community, an excuse to just give them a little nudge. Hey, just want to see if I can give you any help. Did you see this? Hey, we're doing a business meetup next week. We'd love to meet you. And we find out that a lot of times in a community, there's people that you didn't even know wanted to start a business, and which happens a ton. And you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that Joe wanted to start a business. Gosh, I can help him do that. I wish you would have come to me before. But it gives this like kind of a front door to the small business community that people didn't see before.
Okay, let me understand this. Okay,
Yeah.
So there is an organization in the community that gets licensed to the platform, correct?
Right. Right.
Now, is that usually a local government, a chamber, an economic development organization? In most rural communities, who has that license?
So usually in rural communities, it's a partnership, usually between a county and that community, or between a city and the chamber. It's usually a partnership between 2 or 3 organizations. And that's why we really like it, because it becomes that true community organization, because we don't believe in silos. We believe that if we're going to give everybody the best opportunity to win, everyone needs to play together. So we have seen reasons for people, organizations that have never collaborated before have come together to implement the SmartStart system, because they're all working toward the same goal, to build their small business community. So this just gives them, oh, here's a way that we can all work together and plug it into what they're already doing. But it gives everyone that, so maybe the city has some programs they might have, or the county might have some micro loan programs. The chamber might have where they're doing some networking events, or they're doing workshops, but nothing's connected. If everything, we use that, the dashboard as kind of a backbone of all this, and the front door where people can say, oh, when I'm ready for this, oh, the city has a program for that. Oh, the chamber has a program for that. They feel more of a part of it. And so it just gets everyone together.
And if you're that entrepreneur in a small community where no one in the community has the license for SmartStart, what does that person do? Can they individually go in and access information, or do they have to work through that organization or find someone that does have that license?
Right now, we're just working through organizations that have licensing, because we want it to remain free for the business owner. And we are, as Deb Brown, I know you know her very well.
Yes.
We are the same as Save Your Town. We are for more than profit organization. So we're business owners. It has to make sense to us. But our passion is that these small business owners, especially when they're beginning, that they have a free resource that they can go through. So that is paid for by the community. We would love to at some point maybe have a low cost license fee or low cost entry fee for business owners, but we just don't have the infrastructure for that right now, because as most entrepreneurs, we are building the airplane as we are flying it as well, and trying to always adapt and make it the best we can be for the business owner and for the communities.
And as you said, you're building this airplane as you fly, but have you been doing this long enough that you've seen some real success stories?
Yeah. So we have officially been SmartStart for 4 years. We did this for about a year and a half separately, and then we came together. But gosh, I can tell you, in one community, this is maybe my favorite story. So this is a town of 1,500 people in rural Illinois that had a 2-block main street, and it's on the National Historic Register, but it was crumbling and it was empty. So the city council was like, we got to do something. So I came in on a project with the downtown redeveloper, Eric Reeder from Reeder Area Development. He specializes in rural downtown revitalization. And he created a TIF program for them and told them how to spend their TIF dollars. We went and we did basically talked to all the business owners, prospective business owners, whoever had a business, building owners, and we launched SmartStart. Then we found out that there was a real hunger to start businesses. And over the first year, we helped 3 brick and mortar businesses start in their town. We helped, but through the program, sure. 5 buildings downtown were purchased, and the 3 businesses opened. Then more were being revitalized and redone because they're like, oh my gosh, we got to get ready for more businesses. Also, then the top floor of those buildings, they have a housing shortage. So they were able to make them into really nice apartments so that people, young people could stay in their community. They had a place to go. They had restaurants down now in the main street so they could go downstairs and get something to eat. And so the first year we had these 3 businesses start. One of them was somebody none of these were a business before. They were brand new businesses. And then the second year, we had people that were just coming into, they had workshops there in the town. So they would have they would bring in an insurance agent or bring in a marketer or a banker, depending on what that group needed that was in the community that was partaking in the SmartStart program. And then that second year, we realized we identified 6 businesses in the community, 6 makers, artisans in the community who some had been selling to friends and neighbors. Some had been selling on farmers markets. They're like, gosh, we'd like to try retail. So one of those storefronts owners was like, you know what? I don't quite have enough stuff to fill my whole storefront, but we probably have complimentary customers. Bring your stuff in. So basically, she then served as a SmartStart hub, and she had already been through the dashboard. So she started helping these women walk through the dashboard, make their business, figure out, who's your customer, how to price your products, how to make your business legit, help them. She became their point of sale system. And so they could test out their products in a storefront. So now we had this downtown business, new business owner serving as an incubator for 6 more businesses. And from that, we had 2 businesses that wanted to take over one of those new downtown spots. So in the next year. So that was just such it was a community. It was the entrepreneurs that took it because there was no chamber. There's no business organization. There was a part-time city manager and a part-time mayor. And really they got it going. And then the entrepreneurs took it over. They just saw someone believed in me. They gave me the tools. We're going to roll. So
I love success stories, and
I do too.
And to see these communities take on that challenge and move it forward. And Marci, we have a lot of chamber directors, local elected officials that listen to us every week, and I know one of the questions they have is to be licensed. And of course, as you say, this is your business. Is there a tier based on the size of the community, or is it sort of talk a little bit about the price structure to become a licensee?
Right. We have because we have from the smallest communities to large counties with over 100,000 people. So we have different tiered structures on what that would cost for each community. It's kind of based on, we're a SaaS program, so on bandwidth. And so, yeah, we help them. We actually, we've helped communities come up with the funds, pointed them toward different grants, or in a lot of communities, it's not the grants. We actually have one of our business partners was one of our early adopters, and she ran an EDC and was the director of her local EDC. And she prided herself on working with local larger employers in town that would sponsor maybe a festival or, something like another initiative that they actually funded the small business initiative because they knew their name would be out there every day. Every time somebody logged into the dashboard, they see their name, or every time we had an event, they'd see their name. So we're up for helping people find creative ways to invest in the community. So yeah, we absolutely work with people.
Let me ask you this. One of the things I hear from small business owners and potential entrepreneurs is, and I find out, Marci, that most of the time it's not the lack of being able to sell their product as their company grows. It's lack of cash flow to help that company grow. So, if they're working with your platform or just your personal advice, how do you help them grow their business?
So we always tell everyone how to start small. And I know that Deb Brown and Becky McCoy have talked to you about this before. We always tell them to be self-funded. And that's the businesses that we've already done. How can we test something small, make a little money from that? And then if you don't make money, you realize maybe your business idea needs some tweaking. But if you are making money, put that money back in, grow a little larger. You don't need to start with a whole storefront full of product. Where can you test it in pop-ups and in farmers markets, inside other organizations or other businesses? Now, if you have a something that needs investment and you know that you need a new mower or you need a new some landscape equipment, then we can help you put together a business plan. Actually, we give you all the tools to make a business plan, and then we find out who is good at making a business plan in your community. Sometimes it's an SBDC in that little town I just told you about. One of the business owners who owns a restaurant and another business in town, she is fantastic writing business plans. So she writes all the business plans for everyone in town, and she's just great at it. So we find those people in communities. So we're all on self-funding, bootstrapping, no need to go into a lot of debt until you are ready. And then when you're ready, you should have, a little cash on the side. You should have here's my business plan, here's my revenue model that you can prove to a bank, and then we can help you through the system, point you in the right direction to get that business plan and get you bank ready. But from the beginning, just start small.
You've been talking about a business plan, and I can't impress on our listeners enough how important a business plan is. I worked for the governor of Tennessee at one time, and he was a very successful businessman. And I know in one of our conversations, we were talking about rural communities, and he was talking about the community themselves, but he made this statement: I know of no business that's ever been successful that didn't have a plan. And it's the same thing about our communities. How can you be successful if you don't have a plan? So just emphasize that about have a plan, have a business plan.
Yes. And that is what, when you walk through the dashboard, that's going to help you put all those parts and pieces. If someone hands you a business plan template before you've really done anything, you can't fill that up. It's overwhelming. But walking through our platform and getting some experience, that's going to help you get that, put the business plan together, which is going to help you. I tell everyone, we always say that the dashboard is like a roadmap. If you don't know where you're going, you need a map to get there, and your business plan helps you be that roadmap to get to where you're going. So you don't have to take these stupid detours and get lost or off the road or in the ditch. So it helps you. We are all about getting people ready to get those business plans together. and how that, that's the whole reason that we are here, to get them ready for that. And you have to have a plan. You just can't, these businesses that I see that they're just throwing stuff up against the wall to see what sticks. And that's not how you should run your business. You should do, we teach to get those, do those testing early so that you can have this plan. Now, eventually, if you want to try something new, you branch on a new product, new service, absolutely. But it has to align with your original business plan to be successful.
All right. Last thing, Marci, local chamber director, local elected official that has listened to you and said, this is something I'd like to get more information on. What do they do? How do they contact you?
Well, they can go to smartstartcommunity.com. That's our website. It's got a lot of good information on there, especially about microbusinesses, kind of tease up what we do. And you can also contact me at Marci, Marci, at SmartStart Community, and find me on LinkedIn. I write there weekly. We also have, there's links on the website and on my LinkedIn to our weekly newsletter that's called the Micro Catalyst newsletter. It's all about microbusiness stats and stories and case studies that you can use. So yeah, we love to connect with people and just kind of, like I said, spread our gospel of microbusinesses.
Well, this is exciting, an opportunity for particularly rural communities to have access to all the things that you need to promote entrepreneurship in your community. And I will tell you, there's lots of potential entrepreneurs all across the country. And Marci, thank you for spending the time with us. And I hope we can follow back up with you and you can tell us lots of big success stories from the SmartStart Business Development.
I appreciate the time, and we will be back.
Thank you, Marci. Thanks for joining us on RuralStrong. If you found this helpful, share it, and follow the show for more insights from rural leaders making a real difference. Until next time, stay rural strong.